You didn't pass the SQE1 or SQE2. What to do? My name is Olga. I'm one of the founders of the Academy of Smart Lawyers. We are actual candidates who successfully passed the exam, and since early 2018 have been helping people to qualify as solicitors of England and Wales. Most of our clients were receipters who first prepared with famous brands, training providers, but then they failed their first and sometimes second attempt and came for our help. And why we are able to help? Because I'm myself a recitter. In 2015, I failed my SQE2. At that time, it was known as a QLTS OSCE. It took me 1 year to learn about the exam, to analyze all my mistakes, to review my approach, to elaborate on different exam techniques, analyzing each and every SQE2 assessment. And then I had my first client who also failed with me in the same sitting. I helped him first, I trained him one-to-one, and then he passed. And then I passed the exam with 80, with distinctions. So if you failed your first attempt, or even sometimes second, it may be not because you're a bad lawyer. Actually, quite smart lawyers, people who know slightly more, better experts in the area, can actually easily fail this exam because it's a standard exam. And this exam really requires the exam techniques and its deep understanding of how you're marked and how to approach each and every assessment. You literally need to know step by step what to do in interview, in attendance note, in case and matter analysis. When you come to the exam, you should already have very well tested strategy. And the only way how you can elaborate on it and develop it is actually through practice. There's no point to go through a lot of written materials without having a feedback. It's impossible literally to assess yourself. Taking into account that you have this experience of sitting the exam, even there you cannot objectively assess yourself. It may seem to you that you did everything right, but if you haven't identified an issue in an unflagged scenario, how can you actually know that you covered everything that expected? What if you made a mistake at the initial stage when you wrongly classified the problem, when you missed issues, when you don't know what means to apply law to the facts? You lose your law marks. Why it is important to prepare with someone who knows how? Because it's not a very usual exam. It is so-called objective structural examination, which assesses candidates from the point of view of its practicality, how they are able actually to perform actual work, not their theoretical knowledge. It is really possible to prepare for the SQE1 on your own. Preparation for the SQE2 on your own would at least result in reduction of marks. This is something you really need to have a trainer. And we are those trainers who passed the exam themselves, who helped each other, who elaborated on different strategies and shared within our small community of tutors and successful grads. We helped hundreds of people from various jurisdictions. We had many people from China. We were famous in China that we were one and the first provider who actually helped Chinese to be able to pass this practical assessment SQE2. We had a lot of grads from Hong Kong before it was exempt from the assessment, from Singapore, from Emirates, from Africa and Latin America. Some of those jurisdictions are very far away from how the things are in the UK. Same as European countries, mainly are civil law based, and the approach is very different there. If you failed your first attempt, it's not that you are a bad lawyer. You may not have the appropriate exam techniques. It is essential to be trained by those who did it themselves. This is the only way you can be confident you obtain the right supervision. At the same time, training others also requires specific strategies, tips, which have been developed through years by us, and we do it professionally. So combining this first-hand experience and real skills, how to coach and train people through one-to-one and group simulations. So come over to us. We will start from assessing your results. We'll try to identify gaps in your performance and then tackle them, giving you tailored preparation materials. Some people need law in addition to one-to-one training. Some people need more training as their knowledge is good enough. It's just they do not know how to convey it into a high mark. We will help you with that. I am myself a reciter. Trust me, there are so many smart and clever people who did make it on the first attempt. And I will tell you even more. In my opinion, those who didn't make it on the first attempt, but then cleared the assessment with a high passing mark, those, in addition to the fact that they proved that they deserve the highest mark, they also proved that they have a strong character. They're able to stand up and fight it and win it. As to the SQE1, we can specifically help people who are from abroad, who are not native speakers. Our preparatory program is very much adjusted to foreigners, as well as people who do not have law background. So we try to explain everything in plain English, providing a lot of factual examples. Our lectures are delivered at least by 2 tutors who are practicing solicitors, who, while explaining the materials, trying to give a lot of examples from the actual practice, so you can have a very realistic view on application of the law to the facts. Our lectures are supplemented by synopsis notes. We call them synopsis notes, but those notes is a treasure. Each note combines all the key points on a topic, and one page of one note may substitute 25-30 pages of reading with clear points that you should memorize, preparing you for a challenge when those points may be confused with some other, or the substance of the law is such that people can make mistakes. So we specifically try to identify those key points for the purposes of the SQE1 primarily, but also it's relevant to the SQE2, and tackle them very specifically in our pre-recorded or monthly revision lectures. Direct support and answers to your questions via live-streamed sessions, where you can ask questions in advance. We analyze different multiple choice questions. We tackle the law updates and all the time improve our existing materials. We also develop a huge bank of multiple choice questions with different challenges to make it as close as possible to the actual assessment. We have ambitions to produce a huge bank of those. Our students also prepare by drafting the actual questions. We encourage them, we classified the questions types and challenges in those questions in order to help our students to see deeply into the actual exam. And it is very important to view it from the assessor's perspective. This is how you can easily then see all the tricks in the questions, because you view it from the assessor's perspective. Come over, check a few of our materials. We are happy to review your results and provide you with particular tailored study plan covering the loopholes in your knowledge, exam techniques, or skills. Be smart.